Welcome back, everybody. This is your three-man booth, down to two tonight. I'm Dan Salem with Phil. How are you, Phil? We're missing
I,
our
I'm yeah, we're missing our third amigo there, but he's on official business apparently.
official.
Official, yeah. Maybe he'll come back next week and join us again. But how was Vegas?
Oh, Vegas was fun. And we had good weather. It wasn't too hot. Did a lot of walking. I'm hurting from it, but it was good. I had fun.
Excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do miss. So one of these years I got to get back there. I did promise as soon as the Raiders move to Vegas,
Oh,
we're coming. I'm coming out there, so you will see me in the next couple of years. I promise.
so I drove from LA, and you come south, and right before you get to the bottom of the strip, Mandalay Bay is on the south side of the strip, is the new stadium, just on the left-hand side of the freeway. So like, it's not really a walk to the strip, but it's almost a walk, and it's big. It's gonna look cool.
So it's going to be on the Mandalay Bay end of the strip.
Yep, on the south end.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So that's actually closer to the airport, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say very close to the airport. Yeah, and then I stayed kind of in the middle of the strip, Planet Hollywood area, and so that was fun. I hadn't never stayed down that section, but it was a good
I
time.
miss that city. I'll get back there eventually, like I said.
Yeah, the Raiders.
Soon.
It's going to be done soon. That stadium. Look, I mean, it's going up quick. So.
Well, they got to be done by 2020, I think, right? 2020 is the first year. So they got a year and a half,
You're
basically.
supposed to, yeah.
When you can work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, because it doesn't really rain over there, I mean, how long should it take to put a stadium up?
Oh, I'm familiar with the year-round construction.
That's true, you are.
You'd be amazed how things get delayed, but they do build them quick. So that's not the only thing they're building. That city's blowing up. I hadn't been in 2 years, and every time I go to Vegas, something new pops up, a new hotel's opened. It's kind of.
That's because all the schlubs like me and everyone else are helping fund that city.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you've heard of the neon sign graveyard. So we're diverging from football for a minute, but they used to dump all of the old Vegas signs in like a graveyard behind one of the casinos, and Mandy and I could never find it, but. So we finally, 2 years ago, discovered where they moved them to, but then it turned into a museum. And at the time, 2 years ago, you needed a reservation to see the museum. Now you don't. So I went this time, which it was very cool. So it's north of downtown Vegas. If you can find your way there, it's like a little hidden gem of
And
Vegas.
you finally found it. Well, yeah, well, when we all go there and meet, you'll show me.
Okay.
You'll show me.
I love Vegas. I had to avoid the sports books because there were zero good bets. We'll use that to segue into the NFL because they've released the lines post-draft, and there's no good bets.
No, you know what? And they're really, if you don't jump on them, like they release them in like March before the draft even starts. Obviously, you have to be, there's luck involved. You don't know who you're going to draft. You could probably pick one or two maybes even before free agency starts. I don't remember exactly when they first come out, if it's pre-free agency or post-free agency. But if you got the Browns before they traded Beckham, you're probably sitting pretty right now.
Well, except if you picked them to win the Super Bowl. Like I would pick them to win.
That's true too.
But in terms of which bet you placed, I bet they did it before free agency because Vegas released the Stanley Cup odds for next year during these playoffs.
Yeah, true.
They just released them. So I think that they're doing them like at like key moments. So I have a feeling it was right before free agency. I don't remember, but post-draft, I mean, the Browns are still looking good. Everyone is like in love with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Green Bay Packers, though. Their odds. I'm not a fan of either of those teams at this point. I feel like they both didn't get any better, and yet because of the quarterbacks, people just like pile behind them every single year. I don't think Roethlisberger or Aaron Rodgers has enough to carry their team any longer.
Pittsburgh's interesting because obviously Bell didn't play last year, so they didn't play with Bell. And yes, you lost Antonio Brown, but they were relying heavily on Juju last year. It's almost like they were kind of phasing, Antonio Brown out.
Yeah,
you have James Conner behind him, so he got plenty of work. I feel out of the two, they're in a position where they kind of knew where the future was going, and they kind of planned ahead a little bit. I won't say completely, but they kind of had the inkling of where things were going to
go. And their division's not particularly strong, but they don't have a good defense. Now, maybe they're still the best team in that division, but it's the worst division in the AFC. I don't know. Maybe that's really the answer because I don't feel confident about any of the teams in the AFC North. So I don't like the Steelers, but I can't say they're worse than the rest of their competition.
And you got to think the Browns are going to be the odds-on favorite just for public opinion. So that gives
Yeah.
the Steelers probably the first time in a very long time where they're not expected to just be first right out of the gate. Maybe they can surprise people if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had to pick, I'd pick the Steelers over the Browns simply by experience and because the Browns always find a way to lose to the Steelers, or they just until they prove it that they got it. I don't believe it. Like one season's a fluke. Like they had one good season last year, if you can call it a good season. They didn't make the playoffs, so everyone is up on the Browns bandwagon. Nobody was on the Jets bandwagon when they went 11-5 that one year and missed the playoffs.
11-5, yeah.
No one jumped on their bandwagon. Everyone was panning them for missing the playoffs. So I'd be curious if the Browns
that's where you want to be. That's exactly where you want to be. You don't want to be in the headlines. You don't want to be on the front page all the time because then all the media, all the attention's on you, and that's obviously going to put added pressure. You want to be in the spots that our teams are right now. No one's talking about. Well, people are talking about it, but not for good. But no one's expecting anything. So if they do go on that run where the Jets go 11-5 in a year, no one expected to it, you enjoy it a lot more, and because no one's taking them seriously.
Well, and this year, like the Jets' expectations are kind of tempered, even though I expect Sam Darnold to like really push this team forward especially with the new coaching staff, new weapons. I mean, I'd be surprised because I liked what I saw from the Jets last year. I knew it was a rebuilding year. I liked what they saw because they were in each football game. They didn't lose very much. They lost mostly close football games, which means you're one player away. You're a scheme change away. You're a coaching change away because I didn't particularly like how they coached the second half of football games last season. And I mean, the difference between 5 wins and 8 wins is like
huge.
Nothing. It's not, but it's nothing on the field. It's huge.
No, that you're right.
But,
yes,
but it's huge for a team. So I'd be shocked if the Jets don't win at least 8 games this year. Now the Browns, everyone's expecting them to, and I could easily see them falling short because they got a lot of head cases in that locker room, and it's one thing to build team chemistry. Like I feel like the Jets have been building it over the last couple of seasons. The Browns just kind of smushed it together.
But again, the football is the ultimate team game. One person, as we've seen many, many, many times, is not going to make or break a season. It can, make or break a game, but overall, because teams are going to scheme for this. They know well in advance what to scheme for.
Absolutely, and now I know the Browns had a ton of weapons, and Baker Mayfield's very good. I'm excited to see if they can succeed, but it makes you wonder because a team like the Giants has kept Eli Manning, and they're keeping him, and they keep supporting him. He definitely brings continuity and calmness to the locker room through this tumultuous period in the Giants because they're rebuilding. They had 2 bad years, 2 bad years where they didn't want to rebuild. Now they have 1 year where they're rebuilding and can potentially exceed the low expectations now instead of continuing to enter the year with high, lofty expectations that they're not going to meet. So, I mean, 2 years ago, they were coming off a big season, so that was kind of a shock. But last year, I feel like they kind of have big heads about themselves. But do you like that they keep Manning around? I mean, he definitely brings that veteran calmness that you kind of need to gel new players.
Yeah, because I think I have no idea how many games he's going to play. If he plays 16, great. That means we're winning. So sign me up for that right now. But, you got to have that segue because when Manning first came into the Giants, he had Kurt Warner as his mentor. And Kurt Warner played a couple of games. I think it was 3 or 4. And then it was he handed over the reins to Eli. It's like giving a rookie quarterback week 1 is not always the best formula. Yes, it could certainly work out in some cases, but I feel like you need that transition, that handoff.
Yeah.
Give them a couple of weeks, whether it be 4, 6, 8, but the bye week. We always say that the bye week is really the time where if you're going to start a rookie quarterback, it's usually after the bye week. So right. I think the Giants actually have a really late bye week this year. So again, if he makes it that far, that's great.
Well, I mean, is it though? Like, I guess it is if your team's winning.
That's what I'm saying. If we get to the bye week and Eli's still there,
that's why I was happy with the Jets last year because they had McCown to hand off to Darnold, and now obviously Darnold started week 1, but like there was still that veteran mentorship, which why I think Daniel Jones is actually in a very good situation, even if I don't know if he's the lesser prospect. They're all kind of a toss up, but like he's in a very good situation compared to some rookies where he can learn
He's in
behind.
a great situation. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Now, so we've been writing. Todd and I have been writing about every team on NFL Spin Zone, and we wrote about the Giants a couple days ago, and he managed to include some quotes from Gettleman. Basically, where he just keeps contradicting himself. He's making himself look like the biggest ass. Like he's like, well, we could probably see Eli Manning again in 2020. And I'm like, if you're not going to start your rookie that you drafted 6th overall this year, at least at the end of the season, or at least give him, what are you doing? Why did you waste the pick on him? It's like you say these things 2 weeks after you drafted the guy. What are you hearing? You're in the New York area. What is the energy around the team?
Well, I will say for the last week it's been quiet. It has died down because the week, obviously the couple of days after the draft and the last week or two after the draft was just nonstop. I mean, it was getting nauseating after a while. And yes, I do agree. If he just said, hey, Daniel Jones is our guy, we got him at 6, end of story, that would have been a lot better than all these other things like you're saying. Maybe he'll sit for a couple of years. We don't know what we're going to do with him.
Yeah.
Just that I agree with. Just kind of say he's our guy. This is why we picked him. If you don't like it, that's on you.
Right. And it's not like this is Gettleman's first job as a general manager. So, like, it's one thing if you're bad at public speaking and you don't know it yet. But if he's going to say this stupid stuff, he should have just said nothing. Like, he didn't have to speak.
Agreed.
No one makes him talk.
Yeah. It's almost like he heard all the backlash because how could you avoid it? And just try to explain himself. And it's just, you didn't have to.
He explained himself by basically saying, yeah, I really like this guy. But, if it doesn't work out, we can probably go with Manning another year. He might have it in him. And it's like, so then my brother, because he's a Giants fan, Todd, was like, they could conceivably draft a quarterback next year at the top of the draft if they're in a top 5 position again. And it's like, they're not going to get anything from Daniel Jones. They can't trade him if you don't play him. At least trade Rosen.
Conceivably you can, but if for some reason they have a top pick, I wouldn't even expect them to do that. Mm-hmm. I really wouldn't.
No,
there'll be good ones there, but
that would be such a waste. And
that's what I'm saying.
Get him fired. Like the last coach before Sherman got fired for benching Eli. I feel like Gettleman would get himself fired for keeping Eli. Like, you can't just hang on forever. But I mean, I don't dislike their prospects this year. They're really a 50-50 whether they're going to be good or bad.
Yeah, that's the beauty of football is, again, we expected Seattle last year to win 2 games. They pretty much almost made the playoffs last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple of teams we know are going to be bad this year. I can almost guarantee you the Arizona Cardinals won't be good.
Miami's almost bad too.
Yeah, and Miami Dolphins are definitely tanking. But I don't know if there's anybody else that's like a lock. I think the Bengals probably won't be very good either. But most everybody else
is in that conversation because they still have Dalton, they still have a bunch of good players, but they just
So is that a good?
Them.
Are they a good bet? Like I haven't really looked to make my bets yet, but bet the Bengals to win the AFC North. It's probably like a 30-1 bet. It's not an awful. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but it's not an awful bet in my opinion because they did win it 3 years ago, I think.
See, I'm more of a fan of the win totals.
Oh, the totals.
Okay. Rather than division winners, because I mean, listen, division winners that could be. It's more of a toss up than I think some people think in some years in certain divisions.
So you like the over? Yeah. So you like the over unders of the win totals?
Yeah, I like those a lot better.
So the Bengals, I forget, they might even have like a 6 or a 7. That would be definitely a good over in my opinion to snatch.
Most teams are 6, 7, 8. I mean that's
yeah. I think 75% of the league's 8 or 9, 7.
They really are.
It's stupid. It's like, are they going to be good or are they going to be bad? That's basically what you're betting.
You're right. 100% right.
I mean, these teams aren't done building because we wrote last week also about the remaining free agents, and there are some big names. I mean, Ndamukong Suh is available. Muhammad Wilkerson is available. Jay Ajayi is available. Now, Bilal Powell is a smaller name. He's available. So, like, we on our article, we compared 2 big players at each position. I think Ansah signed, right, with the Seahawks. He got signed because he was a big name.
Yes.
But then there's another guy, Shane Ray, which I was less familiar with, but there's some solid players out there. I know I don't think that Wilkerson will return to the Jets, but he's a great ad. I'm shocked that like maybe the money's too high. What are you thinking? Like, I guess we can guess where these guys end up. I'm just like, I'm a little surprised they're still out there, even a week after the compensatory pick.
Yeah, and you're right. Money could certainly be a factor. And all the guys you mentioned are pretty up there in age.
Yes.
And we've seen so many years, time after time, where these guys they don't want to go to training camp anymore. So don't be surprised if the week before a season, someone's like, "Oh, I'm just going to sign with this team for whatever amount of money too," because these guys don't want to go to training camp. They've admitted it.
So you think that they don't want to sign until after training camp?
I mean, I won't say that that's the exact reason, but I bet it's a factor.
Bilal Powell's probably recovering. I mean, is he fully recovered from injury? He's still recovering. I don't know. But Eric Berry, I can totally see skipping camp.
Like Powell, I see you're a running back, and I guess how many different ways can you run the football? You run to the A gap, the B gap, the C gap. Throw a couple screens in there. And Ndamukong Suh is a defensive lineman. How many different schemes can you do for that? I mean, the play calling's different, and maybe some of the signals, but you're a pass rusher.
I guess I can see it. The problem is now I know the quarterback position is different. But if your quarterback misses training camp, it screws your whole team over. I know that's what happened to the Jets when Fitzpatrick held out. He missed training camp and they sucked because he had no chemistry with anybody on the team, even though he had played for them the year before. It was just night and day. It was so obvious that him missing camp screwed everything. But that's your quarterback. I'm just none of these guys are the leader of their unit, so I get it. I guess I could see them skipping camp. I'm just surprised Wilkerson or did Ajay get hurt last year?
I feel like he's been hurt every year, so I don't remember who did he end up with? Was it Miami or did he? He got traded to Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, he was with the Eagles, but I think he played with them all last season.
I feel like he was hurt for a couple of games, but I could be wrong. It's
Yeah, maybe these guys will
remember every season.
Yeah. Maybe these guys will be injury replacements too. Once injuries start happening in July, August.
That'll absolutely happen. Once people start going down in actual training camp, that's when you see a lot of these signings too.
It's interesting though, because I feel like the Giants shouldn't sign any of these players, but they could totally use them. I mean, extra help on the defensive line, or just somebody to give Barkley a break. Ajay or Bahal to have a compliment to Barkley is key. I don't think they really have a good backup to him.
No, they just signed Rod Smith, the backup from Dallas.
Oh, okay. So that
actually I actually like that signing.
That's pretty good because he was a good backup for Elliott. So that's not a bad signing at all.
He torched the Giants one of those games a year or two ago. So
okay.
I always love when we sign people from Dallas. It's just I like that. I like when they come over on this side.
Well, let's talk about the Cowboys for a second. So, setting your bias aside, do you actually think they're going to have a good season, or do you think this will be Jason Garrett's last?
I pray that they give Dak $30 million a year. I pray it happens, and they're going to because they don't have a choice.
No, because he's their franchise guy, and they've been winning with him.
But is he a franchise guy?
He's their franchise guy.
Correct.
And honestly, I feel like the Cowboys make a choice, and then they decide that they weren't wrong, regardless of whether the evidence points to the contrary. Now, I mean, Prescott's decent, but he's not otherworldly. He's not Russell Wilson. So.
Yeah, no. He's a competent middle of the road quarterback. He's not gonna. I haven't seen too many games where he's actually won them for you. I mean, he has the benefit of having Ezekiel Elliott running for you, and you have they grabbed Amari Cooper, but they're gonna have a problem in the next. I don't know if it's this year or next year. But in the next 2 years, they have about 5 guys that they have to pay. And they have to figure out who they're going to pay and when they're going to pay them.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think it's 2 this year and 3 next year. And
this is their window.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. They have about a 2-year window because you can't pay all these guys.
No.
NFL makes you have a hard salary cap, and you can't pay all these guys. They're going to pay Zeke.
Yeah.
They're probably going to pay Dak. Then you got to pay all the guys on the defense too. Yeah.
Well, I keep mentioning it. There is a renegotiation coming. But it sounds like they're getting ahead of it between the Players Association and the NFL. And so that could change some of the contract dynamics. But it's still that window of these rookie deals that Elliott and Prescott are on, or the Giants have Barkley on a rookie deal for a couple more seasons. They can't.
4.
4 more, okay. So they got some time. But you can't waste these rookie deal years. Now, the Cowboys, I guess they got to the playoffs last year. Did they win a playoff game? I think they did, right? I forget. But regardless, their success saved Jason Garrett's job because he was definitely going to lose it. But then they won 3 in a row at the end of the season and made the playoffs, I think. So
I think they made I don't know if they made the playoffs, but it was that last game of the season against the Giants where they won. And I think Amari Cooper caught a ball on the last play of the season.
No, they made the playoffs. They definitely made the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's what saved Jason Garrett's job. I mean, I think he gets fired if they don't make the playoffs this season. But I haven't really seen much improvement from this football team. They just everyone loves the Cowboys, just like everyone loves the Packers. So
it's so nauseating, my God. So all right, so that great offensive line that everyone's been talking about for 2 or 3 years is starting to get little nicks and dings, and they're starting to get older. So that great line's not going to be so great forever.
No, it's funny because we were talking about the weak AFC North. I know that the Eagles are probably still going to be a good team, but I don't think the NFC East is that strong. I mean, the Giants, Redskins are not that far behind the Cowboys, in my opinion, even though people want to think – I think everyone wants to make the Cowboys off to be better than they are.
Of course they do. They do every year the Cowboys are going to win a Super Bowl. How's that work out?
Well, for Vegas, right?
Well, yeah, that's why those brand new casinos you stayed at were there.
Yes. So the Packers have terrible odds. And is that just the Aaron Rodgers factor? I cannot figure out why people think the Packers are going to be a good football team this year.
So you're saying that the odds are good for the Packers or not good?
No, they had comparable odds to the Bears to win their division, like even. Right. And I'm like, I think the Bears and the Vikings are easily better. They haven't lost anything.
Green Bay lost some. I mean, actually, I think they bolstered their defense. They still got Devontae Adams, but who did the Packers? The Packers weren't really active in offensive free agent. I know they were active on defense. No. They grabbed a lot of guys.
Well, they've been active. They've been actively trying to get a defense together for 2 or 3 seasons and keep failing. Yeah. So I mean, maybe they'll succeed. That'll definitely help them. But they don't have any noteworthy wide receivers. The running game.
Well, behind Devontae Adams.
Okay, so so Adams is the one. Sorry, Adams is one solid good guy.
Honestly, Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins might go 1-2 in fantasy drafts this year.
So my mistake. So they have one great receiver and one great quarterback, which is a great pair. I
don't even know who's the Cowboys running. The Green Bay running back now. I have to look. It's
they were doing flip flops last season, and I think the guy that ended it strong, but I mean, he didn't play long enough for me to have confidence in him.
I can see the face, but yeah, you're right. They were kind of going between injuries and flip flops. Yeah. All right, you're right. Was it Jamal Williams or Jamal Adams or I forget.
Yeah, I guess I'm concerned for Rodgers' health. I mean, he just keeps getting injured. I don't know. He's not enough for me. I still like the Bears in that division. I think they continue to improve. I mean, Minnesota's got a great defense.
Well, lucky for Aaron Rodgers, if he ever wants to retire early, he can just keep doing cameos on Game of Thrones.
I did not see him.
I didn't even know it until this morning. No. I didn't even know it. I saw a Twitter picture of him in the gear, so he was there somewhere. I'll have to go back and look.
Maybe he must have been an extra in maybe that standoff between, spoiler alert, Jon Snow and the Lannisters in King's Landing, when they were facing off and then they surrendered. Spoiler alert. Maybe he was one of the Lannisters lined up as they surrendered.
He might have been. We'll have to look again. But
because otherwise I didn't notice him, which is funny.
But to your point, I don't. That one that is actually tough to predict because you're right. Actually, you know what? I think the Bears are going to win that division right now. If you had to ask me today, I'm not sold on the Vikings right now. I think they keep underachieving and their window was 2 years ago. Now it's going down.
I mean, to me, defense continues to win in the NFL over the last 5 years. The Patriots are always playing above their heads because they managed to play great defense. I mean, Philadelphia won the Super Bowl on the back of their defense. Atlanta made the Super Bowl 2 years prior. Even though they had a great offense, it was only because they had a good, healthy defense that they made the Super Bowl.
Both Giants Super Bowls were because of their defense. I'll be the first to admit that.
And the Rams last year, people talk about the offense, but that defense was excellent. I mean, I think offense can elevate a team, but if you don't have a good defense, you're not going to win anything in the playoffs. So I look at Green Bay and I don't like their defense yet until I guess they have to prove me wrong. And that's why I'm questioning a lot of teams. That's why it's easy to back the Patriots every year. I know they're going to have a good defense.
Right.
So
they also have the benefit of getting 6 pretty easy wins every year.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's only
historically. 4.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's only 4 this season.
Yes.
So we did a whole like draft recap, but now we have had a lot of time to get the dust settle. You've gotten to see all the grades. I know that the people that I'll put pundits in quotes. They're very high on like the Buffalo Bills draft, for example, which I have no idea why. But the grades were all over the place. Is anybody you really like now that you didn't like before?
No, I don't think so. My opinion hasn't really swayed that
Yeah.
much. I'll be honest. Even you're right. Having the benefit of seeing the bunch of rounds, I like what I'll give you this. I like what the Giants did. They went defensive tackle, quarterback, defensive tackle, cornerback. I mean, they bolstered their defense, which again everyone else was doing because this was a defensive heavy draft. I think they picked one offensive lineman and that's it.
So I actually I'm gonna go different instead of talking about the Jets for a second. I'm gonna say I think the Jaguars were due for a bounce back because they were so good 2 seasons ago on defense, like shut down. And then last year, I mean, Blake Bortles actually had a career year 2 years ago. And then last year he kind of played like himself. So they've replaced their quarterback with somebody markedly better. Their defense should be better because if it averages out. And then they lucked into Josh Allen in the draft. I was feeling a Jaguars rebound, and I'm kind of loving it now because I feel like the Colts like surprised everyone last season, right? So maybe they can keep it going. Houston, maybe they can keep it going. Those are 2 good teams, but I'm not convinced that their defense will be on par with Jacksonville. I know, like, because you see teams shoot up, and then they come back down and kind of even off. And I feel like Houston and Indianapolis both shot up, and I'm intrigued. I don't know. That's a particularly intriguing division to me, the South AFC.
Every year when Bud and I make our picks, that one's the hardest one to do. I mean, the last couple of years, everyone just went with the chalk and picked Jacksonville because of their defense.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Houston Texans are good, and if Andrew Luck had one more game under his belt, they probably would have been. Wait, did they make the playoffs or not last year?
No, yeah, they absolutely did. Yeah.
Okay, they did.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see they started off 0-4 or 0-5, and then they reeled off 11 straight. They were on a roll. They were really they needed a couple more games to really be in the groove.
And they nailed their draft picks last year. Basically, is what happened. So they had immediate starters out of their rookies last year, and their sophomores like elevated. And I mean, that's what also makes this whole thing so arbitrary because you need your rookies to like play like veterans, or you're not going to win. And it's funny. I'm not too high on anybody else. Nobody's like swayed me. I mean, I'm intrigued by the Redskins because they got a young quarterback, but I don't think he's going to like make waves or anything just yet. I'm intrigued by the 49ers. I don't know if you hear much about them, but like, I want to know what Garoppolo's actually going to do. Like,
I mean, they're the wild card because Garoppolo didn't play. Jerick McKinnon, who they signed last year, tore his ACL, and I want to say preseason, but I don't exactly remember when that was. So you have your number one quarterback, your number one running back off the board already, and their defense was bad, and they did a lot to bolster their defense, obviously with Joey Bosa.
Yeah. No, it's intriguing, and I mean that division is kind of open. I mean, Seattle's good, but they're not great, and they always seem to play better than themselves. But only the Rams are really standing the 49ers' way of a complete rebound season. So
I almost feel like Seattle's in a tough spot because they just paid Russell Wilson, however much they paid him. And again, once you pay that quarterback, you can't pay all the other needs around that you have. So it's really going to be really interesting to see what they do with the pieces around Russell Wilson now.
Well, and it's intriguing because in principle, you could tank and get a top 10 pick and then have a really low price rookie again. But then you're wasting a year of your franchise quarterback, and you can't do that either. Right. So it's just you can't do it. So we'll see. You learn quickly how good of like these coaches actually are, what they can do with lesser known pieces. I mean,
it's honestly it's going to be here soon. It's already the middle of May. We're already 5 months into 2019. It's going to be September before we know it.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush the summer because I mean before it got dark out, you saw the green leaves on the trees over here. It's been a while. It's been a very long winter, and I'm not looking to rush summer.
No, your summer's just starting. I mean, my summer it's just getting going too. I mean, we're still in our spring, but summer doesn't end here until mid to late October generally. So
Go.
I don't have that in September. Maybe early October, but sometimes it pushes. But all of September is still summer in LA. So football season begins in the summer for me.
Yeah, I
Unfortunately.
mean, it'll be September here before 3.5, 4 months. It's going to be September. We're going to be ready to go already.
Well, so do you really think anything's gonna so we have 2 weeks until the mandatory OTAs, right?
So I will say this, but I know we're jumping in. So I got the NBA lottery draft lottery.
Is it started up?
Well, so it started. It's
Okay.
8:30 right now. It's 8:30 local time. They have a little countdown clock going that says it has 8 minutes left. There's no chance in hell that they're going to announce all the picks in 8 minutes. They're going to announce 3 or 4 picks, then let's go to a commercial.
Well,
Then they're going to announce a bunch more picks. Let's go to a commercial. They're not going to get to the number 1 pick till 9 o'clock tonight, or 9 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute show. Yeah, they're gonna milk it. Now,
it's so.
This is okay. So this is fun, interesting. I'm glad you brought it up because I see all these headlines on ESPN. Stephen A. Smith, it's a lock that Kevin Durant and I think he said Kyrie are both going to the Knicks.
I pray
they want to play together. Now, I think it's a lock.
Right.
I think it's a lock that Kyrie leaves Boston. That just deteriorated.
That's over.
I think it's a lock that Durant leaves Golden State because he won a couple titles, and now he'd probably like to start afresh.
And I'm actually glad they I'm glad they won Game 6 against Houston in Houston without him because, again, maybe his mind's already made up and this doesn't matter. But now you're seeing the Warriors going to win without him. He's not going to play tonight. He's not going to play Game 2. You may not even see him until Game 3 or 4.
No.
So watch the Warriors easily be up 2-1 or maybe 3-0. Maybe not 3-0. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I mean, we all knew they don't need him. They just had an overly stacked basketball team. But so I think he moves on because he can do something else with his career besides stick around and play under Steph Curry.
I'm suffering for 19 years over here. It's time that we get some good fortune around here.
I can almost guarantee you one of these stars will be a Knick and one of them will be a Laker with LeBron. Now, I've also
we need two. We need both. I think Durant's not coming alone. He needs someone to come with him.
Yeah. Well, so I read reports that LeBron wants to try to bring Kyrie back to reunite with him in LA. So these are conflicting reports between two of the biggest market teams. So it doesn't surprise me we're getting this BS.
And isn't it amazing that the two biggest markets in basketball are the two biggest dumpster fires right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We hear it over here that everything's LA. It must be nonstop over there.
Well, I will say to you, this city is a very much front runner city. Nobody talking about the Lakers very much because they haven't been any good. So you talk. So there was.
They're not even mean to them when they're losing.
I mean, I don't listen to the sports talk radio because I don't root for the Los Angeles teams. So I don't want to hear about teams that I don't really care about. But I see the headlines and stuff. And so, there's stuff about LeBron. And there's stuff about this, because Magic Johnson just walked away and told nobody. Basically, it's very poor ownership. And the ownership has been really poor in LA for a while now, just like in New York. And so
I know that all too well. I
saw some stories about the poor ownership. But again, I read it. I'm like, I've read this story before. You've already told this story. They've already screwed it up in the past. It's Jeannie Buss, I believe, the daughter. And she's just, I don't know if she's hard to work with or she's impulsive or just, it just seems like things fall apart around here ever since with the whole Phil Jackson mess. But there's not really a pulse because the Dodgers are back and the Dodgers are a winning team. The Rams were a winning team. The Clippers made the playoffs. These are the winning teams that we're talking about in LA. So if they're on or off the radar. I mean, it'll spin up, especially if they sign one of these big names to bring with LeBron.
And it's amazing. The way it works over here is the worse you are, the more you get talked about. Yeah, when you're winning, they'll give you your due. When you're bad, I mean, they pile on and pile on. I mean, look at the stuff with Gettleman for the last 3 weeks. It's just nonstop over here. It gets too much after a while. That's why they say, all these players are like, well, can they survive in New York? Can they play in New York? Because the media is just brutal, and it's 100% true.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this media is very kind, I think. So we got a melting pot city. So if you're not from here and the team of LA is winning, you'll root for them. Otherwise, they don't exist.
Right.
So,
if not winning, you're like, I have something. I'll go to the beach, like you said, in September.
Yeah.
I'll be on the beach.
That's why, it was so easy to forget the LA Kings were actually good 2 years ago because they were so bad this season. And they just disappeared off the sports radar out here. But I hope the Knicks get somebody. Like, it'd be cool to see Durant play with Zion, or it'd be cool to see the Knicks actually have some buzz. Now, whether they live up to it or not, we'll see. I mean, it'd be hard to imagine them not making the playoffs with Kevin Durant, but the Lakers missed the playoffs with LeBron, so stranger things have happened.
That was a unique situation, though, because I mean that team by the trade deadline when LeBron basically tried to trade the entire team to Oklahoma or to
for Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis. Yeah. I mean, your team chemistry is gone at that point.
Well, but he also knew that they weren't any good, and that he needed somebody better to play with. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they built such a terrible basketball team. It seemed like they were on the up and up, but then they traded all their valuable pieces, and I don't know.
But you're right. It starts tonight. If New York gets the number 1 pick, you could potentially have a starting lineup of Zion, Durant, and Irving just before we even fill in the other spots. It's possible. July 1st. I don't know what day July 1st is here. I think it's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's gonna be perfect for us. Actually, I think it is a Tuesday.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, that's going to be a great show because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on July 1st around
here. So are the Knicks as appealing as if like? I mean, I'm hoping for your sake they get the number 1 pick, but if they happen to not get it, they're still an appealing destination. I think.
I hope so.
But so do you buy the Stephen A. Smith inside information?
I feel that he's very connected, and I do believe that a lot of what he says has a lot of merit to it. He does get a couple things wrong, but overall, I think his track record proves that he's well connected. He might be the most connected source. You know, Schefter's good for football, and Wojnarowski's good for NBA too. But I mean, Stephen A. is just. I think he has all these contacts, all these sources all over the place.
When I used to watch him a lot on the First Take days, and he nailed when he made a bona fide statement. He was normally right. So I was really surprised to see that he said it was a done deal that those guys were in New York. So
I think if I remember correctly, back in 2010, the morning of the decision where LeBron decided to go to Miami, he came on the air and said, "I'm hearing he's going to Miami."
Yeah. Okay.
So I believe it. I do when I hear him say, like you said, definitive statements. You don't bat an eye at it.
So I have to ask: did you place a bet on the Knicks before all of this?
No.
Because their odds are not going to get better with Zion and KD and Kyrie. They're only going to get worse.
I have not. I'll be honest.
You feel ashamed of yourself for not doing so, don't you?
I didn't think about it. I just want to see winning basketball again. Do you know how many games? Do you know honestly how many Knicks games I watched this year? Maybe 3, and I went to one of them live. I had no reason to watch it at all this year. And I love my basketball.
No, maybe they didn't release the over-unders for next season yet because of that reason.
They don't do those yet. And I don't know when they come out, but it's not before free agency. I'll tell you that.
Okay, because they released some of the hockey stuff. That's why I was thought maybe the basketball's out, but that makes more sense.
Let's see. So they're going through all the people right now of who's representing each team. I can't imagine they're gonna. So what time we got here? You got.
No, I was gonna say we're not gonna get so. I've noticed with our show here, we can do it as long as we want with just the 2 of us. But when it's a full 3-man booth, we get a cap limit on our time.
Yeah.
So you have any final thoughts? And we can wrap things up, and we can talk about the Knicks more next week.
No, you're right. That might be centered about what happens in the next 10 minutes here. So, no final thoughts. Just we're going week by week, and if anything pops up, we'll be able to go through it because it's going to be quiet until training camps and OTAs start.
I know. I'm gonna come up with some good off season topics for us next week because we're at the height of hope here. Everyone's hopeful about their football team. I'm going to dive into the details because there's those trends there where like the Carolina Panthers have flip-flopped every season. So they're due for a bounce back here. And there's some other teams that are in that flip-flop pattern, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And so you kind of know what's going to happen. So we'll get into that next week. But I'm praying for your Knicks tonight. I'm praying for your Knicks.
I hope so. It's funny because Patrick Ewing is the Knicks representative tonight. So we all know the story behind that. And if it's up to me, let's get every conspiracy known to man. Let's get the frozen envelopes. Let's do it. We need something here.
Okay. All
right. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your draft show. We'll talk next week.
All right.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Woo!